Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Sitting in the hot seat with me tonight, the Dapper Dan of Data himself, the Grey Wizard of Historical Knowledge, Mr. Eric Smith. How you doing tonight, Eric?
I am doing Fangroovalicious, thank you.
That's a lot, man. There's a lot of syllables in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fangroovalicious, huh?
That's like 5.
It's a bunch. That means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It sure felt like a lot. It sure did. So we got a lot of stories lined up here tonight. Some really interesting stuff. Big old sack of stuff, as I like to call it.
Lots of syllables.
Oh, you do?
We have lots of syllables. I have extra words.
So you got anything you want to talk about before we jump into the festivities here, sir? World peace.
World peace? It probably will never happen under optimum circumstances.
And other pipe dreams, right? First article comes from IFL Science. Shrimp failed drug test for cocaine, ketamine, Xanax, and Valium. Well,
they always have seemed a little high-strung to me.
They're partying down there. Sounds like being a shrimp is the thing to be, man, especially if you're into the scene, the party scene. If you take a look at the life of freshwater shrimp in the sleepy English countryside, you'll find enough drugs to keep a funk band on tour very happy. See, that's what I'm saying. They know how to party. Shrimp apparently know how to fucking party. A new study has found notable levels of cocaine, ketamine, Valium, Xanax, tramadol, and other pharmaceuticals in the bodies of freshwater shrimp and their habitat in Suffolk, UK. The researchers also found traces of numerous pesticides that are now banned by the European Union. Reporting in the journal Environmental International, scientists from King's College London analyzed levels of micropollutants in surface water samples of Gammarus pollux, freshwater shrimp. Why don't we call those crawdads here? I wonder if they're the same thing. Maybe they're probably not. I'm probably an idiot. I'm definitely an idiot, but... from 15 different sites across the country of Suffolk in the east of England. To their surprise, they discovered trace levels of at least 67 different contaminant compounds. The most frequently detected contaminant was cocaine, which was detected in every single shrimp from all 15 sites.
Well,
somebody's
this is
partying.
Yes. And they're apparently they're flushing it down the drainage system.
That's what it looks like, man.
Yeah, so maybe it will work out in our benefit. It probably won't. It'll probably lead to some kind of bad prion disease, but, you know.
They're all ODing, you know. I ate some shrimp, man. That's all things, bro. Such regular occurrences of illicit drugs in wildlife was surprising, said Dr. Leon Barron, a forensic scientist at King's College. In a statement, quote, "We might expect to see these in urban areas such as London." That's where all the drugs are. But not in smaller and more rural catchments. The presence of pesticides, which have long been banned in the UK, also poses a particular challenge as the source of these remain unclear.
Yeah, like I know that there have been times that they have banned stuff, at least that I had used in the past, like Dursban. But I'm pretty sure I know people who can still get that, and I don't know how they get it, but I've heard people say they can get it.
Like somewhere there's a giant stock of this stuff, something.
Maybe, or there's a chemist who is able to make it and is making it and selling it to people.
Like out of their secret lab in their garage kind of thing?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that's like no different than people making acid at their house and selling it.
Well, yeah, it is, because one you make a lot more money at than the other one, and, if you're going to go to jail, what are you in for, man? Yeah, I made pesticides.
Well, yeah, but nevertheless, that may be the case, but then look at this article. It's saying, oh my God, it's surprising. We found this like everywhere, and we don't know where it's from. I mean, maybe there is a larger market for it than we think. Maybe the pesticides are important to the farmers or something.
That's kind of the thing, is as soon as you make something illegal, you create a black market for it. You don't get rid of the thing just because you put some words on paper. Like that doesn't get rid of anything.
Yeah.
You penalize it, and thus, if there's still a demand for it, you just automatically create a black market for it. That's what happens.
I mean, somehow it's getting into the soil and the water of the rural areas.
For sure.
So there must be a lot of it coming from somewhere. And if it's not...
who knows, man? Some of it could still be leaching out of from where it was used prior, too.
Could be. They seem to indicate, though, that they were worried about where it was coming from.
Says the effect of all these illicit drugs is not clear, although the shrimp are unlikely to land a high-flying job on Wall Street. That is somebody that has no idea how Wall Street actually works. Because
right, because they should be right set for it.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, that's a prerequisite here. You're loaded. You're ready. Let's see whether the presence of cocaine in aquatic animals is an issue for Suffolk or more widespread in occurrence in the UK and abroad awaits further research. Added study author Professor Nick Burry from the University of Suffolk. So I've heard this before that things like birth control chemicals and stuff are starting to show up in marine life. So it's literally washing, like, we're putting the whole ocean on estrogen kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what are going to end up being the long-term effects of doing that?
A lot of antibiotics are found out in rural areas in the United States because of the antibiotic shock treatments that farmers give their animals, like cows and pigs and whatever.
We have to constantly.
Yeah.
It's part of, I think it's part of the FDA requirement.
Yeah.
That your animals have certain shots and things.
But the runoff from that and from their urination and stuff too, there's so much antibiotics still in that it seeps back down into the soil and stuff. Yeah.
Ooh. And then into the water table, and then you drink it.
Yeah.
This article comes from Futurism, and you'll understand why I thought this was funny, Mr. Smith. Moms are microdosing magic mushrooms just like tech execs.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well,
like the method in which they ingest it or something?
It definitely, quote,
like tech execs do it in some other way.
Here's a quote from a microdosing mom, quote, "It definitely doesn't impair my ability to parent. If anything, my awareness is sharpened."
Okay.
Ooh. Silicon Valley has been singing the praises of microdosing for years, and it seems the mainstream is now catching on to the trend. In a fascinating new story by The Guardian, a number of women in the United Kingdom make the same claim as those tech execs. Taking small amounts of psychedelic drugs, not enough to trip, is improving their concentration and creativity, as well as helping them address the symptoms of depression and anxiety. Quote, "You don't feel high, just better." Rosie, a mother of two, told The Guardian. This comes from Futurism, by the way. The women interviewed by The Guardian each discovered microdosing in their own way. Rosie tried it after hearing about a study in which it helped lower participants' stress and depression levels, while 40-year-old university lecturer Lindsay Jordan started after reading a book about the practice. The women say they draw different types of benefits from microdosing. Rosie says it helps her cope with her depression and life as a mother, telling The Guardian that, quote, "It definitely doesn't impair my ability to parent. If anything, my awareness is sharpened."
Well, first of all, with that article, talking about that it's like people are catching on to the new trend, I find it to be worded kind of funny because, like, people have been taking psychotropic substances, in particular psilocybin mushrooms, since the Vedic traditions.
Well, since we had shaman, basically. They came from somewhere, so since before shaman, which is the oldest.
Yeah, there's even a theory that the whole idea and concept of an afterlife or a deity that rules some other metaphysical world was brought about between early interactions with the Neolithic people and psychotropic substances.
Right.
That basically psychotropic substances gave birth to religion.
Well, that's the whole stoned ape thing. And that really takes us back, man. That's like episodes 6, 7, 8, 9 for us.
Right,
but
right.
we've both been big fans of that. I think there's probably some legitimacy to that.
But in this article, they bring it across as, oh yeah, these guys are catching on to this new trend that these guys have been doing. These tech guys, like, wait, what? No, you mean for thousands and thousands of years? You mean these guys are just revisiting this situation? So,
yeah. It's nothing new, right?
Yeah, right. Nothing new at all. It's not really even a trend. It's been around for a long, long time. And go ahead.
Jordan, meanwhile, sees microdosing paying off in her professional life. Quote, my job used to be a struggle, she told The Guardian. I used to not enjoy teaching, and my students did not enjoy learning. Now I can teach in a hot, stuffy room for hours and look out across a sea of smiling faces. So how do we feel about, do we even care? Here's the big question. Do I even give a shit what makes somebody a better parent if it actually makes them a better parent? Or,
well, I don't care.
You know?
I know I don't care.
That's kind of this is the shocking part of this is oh, look what, moms who are raising kids and they're eating mushrooms. Oh, the travesty is kind of what.
Yeah, well, it's not like the first time that's ever happened with people. I mean, it's part of it's not, man. It's not. People have done that before. It's not shockingly new or anything, to me at least, But another thing is that this is one of those things that they talk about in OR too, speaking about taking you back and stuff. They've noted that anesthetics, if I understand correctly, close off dipolar connections in the cytoskeletal structure of the cells of neurons in the brain, whereas psychotropic substances will enhance those connections.
Okay.
Which makes total sense, right?
Yeah, because that's right. Because there was something about that, because it was an anesthesiologist that helped sort of come up with the whole theory.
Yeah, Stuart.
Because of the way that he observed how anesthesia made the brain work versus it's the only thing that actually shuts that off or something, right?
Yeah, like
it literally you time warp. Your brain doesn't know that time even happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
that's the only time that happens though is under anesthesia.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a switch being turned off and turned back on, and if you had been put out for any surgery, it's pretty much how it would feel to you. Whereas if you sleep or maybe even get knocked out or something of that nature, you generally have some kind of an idea of how much time has passed. But usually when you're put out under anesthetic, it's much more like a switch being turned on and turned off. Yeah.
It sure is, too, if you've ever been through it. It's been that way for me the several times I've been knocked out for surgeries. It's like, blink, okay, we're done.
Yep.
Like, wow, what happened? Well, 3 hours are gone now.
Yeah.
Just like microdosing is apparently starting to make the transition to the mainstream, so too is the formal study of psychedelics, which were relegated to the realm of fringe science for nearly 80 years after chemist Albert Hofmann first discovered LSD's psychoactive properties. In April, Imperial College London launched the Imperial Center for Psychedelic Research, the world's first center for the study of psychedelics, and scientists have undertaken a number of studies on microdosing in recent years, many with promising results. Yeah, I've heard this too for people that have addictions and that have things like depression from PTSD, so combat vets, people that have been through horrific events and things in their lives, that it's a miracle worker for them.
I have heard that, yes. Yeah.
I've never been to the trippy side of life. I've never taken that. I've never taken the special chemicals and talked to the aliens. But I keep hearing a lot about it, man. Like, especially recently, I see and hear about it a lot more. Of course, I also started listening to Joe Rogan, so that probably has a lot to do with it.
And I think there's like a lot of different ways that you can achieve that state too. Like you can do it with different chemical substances. Like you can do it with peyote, and you could do it with psilocybin.
Yeah, they all sort of tickle the same. Seem to tickle the same, but they're different.
Sweat lodges too, I think, will achieve that same state. Meditation, deep meditation could. DMT, THC, a lot of chemicals will induce that state, and a lot of practice and things like meditation. You may be able to achieve those same states without the chemical assist. But it's hard to deny that there is a change in
there also
perception.
There seems to be so many coincidences when you look at throughout the histories of ancient religions, how many of them, if you just wanted to focus the lens that way, you could certainly find commonalities between people that were indulging in psychedelic substances and subsequently having large mind and life-altering epiphanies about things, and then coming back and reporting that.
Yeah.
Like the acacia, I think it's called the acacia bush, right? That was the burning bush in the biblical story, the Ten Commandments, and Moses is going up and talking to the burning bush. It turns out that bush has extremely high levels of DMT in it. That actual genus of plant does. Now, that in and of itself, it won't make you... Like if you brewed that into a tea, that's not going to do anything. There's another compound that always has to be added to this that stabilizes that past your digestive system. Because apparently this shit's in like everything that grows.
Yeah.
Like everything that grows. But the reason why when we eat things like lettuce, we don't start tripping balls and all this shit is because it gets destroyed through the process of digestion. But there's a chemical that can get added to any of these that stabilizes that process, and then the plants that are in a higher concentration would give you a much bigger experience or whatever. So that's what's ironic about it. This isn't something that happened by accident. This is something that someone had to combine. So
yeah,
that's the question, is like, well, these people were very, the ancient people were stupid, right? They didn't know anything, but they could figure out in a jungle how to take this plant and that plant and give you like the most profound,
universal connectional experience,
experiences, and somehow they figured that out, and then that became ayahuasca, right? That's ayahuasca, but it fascinates the shit out of me because of, especially the stuff like Orco-R, because it's so connected to that same sort of bell you ring, that it's all in that same energy.
Yeah.
And so every time I've been seeing like tons more documentaries and stuff about this subject. And I think it's Boulder, Colorado, or one of the cities is actually thinking about decriminalizing mushrooms now. Go Colorado. Here we go again. Fucking Colorado, fucking it up for everybody. Quote, "It would be much safer if it was legal, so you could openly seek expert advice," she told The Guardian, before adding, "I've taken antidepressants with lists of side effects as long as my arm. Now I'm taking something with no known side effects, and it's working." Well, that kind of goes back to that. Like, I'm a big proponent of people having the right to say, hey, I'm going to die anyway, so, I want to swing for the fences with this real experimental new treatment. And I think you should have the right to do that. Like, you should have the ability to say, it's because if you don't own yourself, what do you own?
Yeah, right? I would agree with that, yeah. I wouldn't have any problem with anybody wanting to do that. Like if they were dying and they requested such things, I wouldn't. I would say, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm saying I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that.
I wonder how you say this website name, man. Is it Ars Technica or ARS Technica? There's no periods between the A, so it's probably Ars Technica.
Probably.
I would say. That makes sense. So that's who this article comes from. Pornhub wants to buy Tumblr and restore site to former porn-filled glory. Ooh, that's an acquisition. Tumblr owner Verizon seeks buyer months after banning adult content. Oh, so they did see what happened was... So they bought Tumblr, and they went into Tumblr, and they took out all the adult content, and then the value of the product tanked, because people were like, "Where'd all the titties go?" What? This sucks. I didn't sign up for this. So now they're selling it. So less than 2 years after buying Tumblr as part of its Yahoo acquisition, so Yahoo owned it before that, Verizon is reportedly trying to sell the blogging platform. Pornhub has also announced that it wants to buy Tumblr and end the site's Verizon-imposed porn ban. Quote, Verizon Communications Incorporated is seeking a buyer for the blogging website Tumblr, according to people familiar with the matter, as it tries to steady a media business that has struggled to meet revenue targets, the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday. Pornhub quickly announced its interest after the news broke, Although it isn't clear whether the two companies have talked, Verizon banned all adult content from Tumblr in December of 2018, and Pornhub wants to restore the site to its former porn-filled glory. Quote, there are obvious synergies between the two brands and value Pornhub could derive from Tumblr, Pornhub VP Corey Price said in a statement to ours. Quote, we're extremely interested in acquiring the platform and are very much looking forward to one day restoring it to its former glory with not safe for work content. Oh, so Tumblr, that's right. Tumblr was like, it's like Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but it doesn't have, like, you know, Facebook and Instagram, you can't put adult like not safe for work or not safe for kids type, but Tumblr was the one you could do that kind of stuff on. And it looks like they like shut that down, and then the value of Tumblr like bottomed out. People are like, I don't want to do that. This is I'll just go to Facebook. Tumblr was a safe haven for those who wanted to explore and express their sexuality, adult entertainment aficionados included. Price's statement also said, we have long been dismayed that such measures were taken to eradicate erotic communities on the platform, leaving many individuals without an asylum through which they could comfortably peruse adult content. Pornhub's interest in buying Tumblr was first reported by BuzzFeed yesterday. So, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. If that was what the platform sort of developed itself on, then you just came in and went, like, you know, half the content.
That's like
I can't
your
understand
audience.
why it's not doing well.
We have a specific audience, and there's a lot of them. Let's get rid of them.
It reminds me when Larry Flint became a Christian and was he became very religious. So there was a period of time where Hustler magazine was not what it was. You know, it wasn't a smut magazine. It was trying to be like all artsy, and there was like religious thing. It's in the movie,
really?
The People versus Larry Flint. Yeah, where I can't remember what her name was. It was some like some religious symbol of that era. Sort of, he became friends with her somehow, and she sort of swayed him over to the light side for a period of time, and it actually ended up reflected in the magazine with the editing and stuff as well.
Wow, I never knew that.
Kind of interesting. I mean, well, that's like, you know, a church buying a whorehouse or something.
We got to clean this place up now.
That don't make no sense. Okay.
Love knows no bounds.
Enough about Pornhub. NASA says metals fraud case caused $700 million satellite failure.
Oh,
did you hear about
like
this?
No.
This is a pretty big deal. A metals manufacturer, this is from Bloomberg, a metals manufacturer faked test results and provided faulty materials to NASA.
Oh, my God.
Causing more than $700 million in losses in 2 failed satellite launch missions.
What the fuck?
According to an investigation. Could you imagine this,
That's
right?
crazy.
So what happens, right, is they buy, they buy spec material.
From a reputable dealer.
Well, that's the idea.
Right.
And so that from an engineering standpoint, you can guarantee certain performances, but the materials were not. They were faking the tests.
That's terrible.
A metals manufacturer faked test results and provided faulty material. Already read that part. The fraud involved an Oregon company called SAPA Profiles Incorporated, which falsified thousands of certifications for aluminum parts over 19 years for hundreds of customers, including NASA.
Wow.
There should be like a special place in hell for people, like especially when they're building structural parts and stuff.
Yeah, and we're talking about sending people back to the moon and or Mars, like in the near future. That's one of the things we're considering doing again, investing back into these ideas and stuff. So if you got someone screwing it over from the groundwork up,
right. Now, luckily, these weren't like manned missions.
Right,
However,
that's my point, right?
But NASA wasn't the only customer. So were they building structural materials that went into other things?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, someone needs to know, right?
Yeah.
Putting aside the liability for not just the loss of life, but what they did here, you know, that's taxpayer money, so they ripped all of us off.
Yeah.
The bad parts were used in the making of the Taurus XL, a rocket that was supposed to deliver satellites studying the Earth's climate during missions carried out in 2009 and 2011. The launch vehicle's fairing, a clamshell structure that carries the satellite as it travels through the atmosphere, did not fully open, causing the unsuccessful launch, according to a statement from NASA. Quote, when testing results are altered and certifications are provided falsely, missions fail, said Jim Norman. Yeah. No shit, right?
Uh-huh.
Director of Launch and Services at NASA in Washington. He added that years of scientific work were lost because of the fraud. News of the satellite failures comes a week after Norsk Hydro ASA, the current parent company of SAPA, agreed to pay $46 million to NASA, the Department of Defense, and others to resolve criminal charges and civil claims related to the fraud, which took place from 1996 through to 2015. So they sold shit to the military, too. So this is the thing that pisses me off, right? That's criminal negligence. So, so agreed to pay $46 million to resolve criminal charges. No, bitches. Somebody needs to go to jail.
Right, yeah. They just paid off their mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not enough money for what damage it caused overall.
Just in what they've cost NASA alone is $700 million.
Yeah.
Okay. The company admitted that employees had fake test results related to the metal's strength and reliability under pressure. SAPA Profiles, now known as Hydro Extrusion Portland Incorporated, also agreed to plead guilty to one count of mail fraud and is barred from U.S. federal government contracting. See, that's not enough. Because, okay, so, all right, so you got to make a stupid amount of money for, obviously, from 96 to 2015. They lived high on the hog. Well, raking in these huge government contracts. Why? Because they weren't actually making the shit to spec, so it wasn't costing them near as much.
Right.
So they were unnaturally saturating or oppressing a market because they were lying. So the people that were doing it right couldn't compete. Right. You see, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle.
The science lost from the failed missions.
Yeah, that's immeasurable. Quote, corporate and personal greed perpetuated this fraud against the government and other private customers, and this resolution holds these companies accountable. The fuck it does. It does not hold the companies accountable.
And it might hold the company accountable, but not the people.
Assistant Attorney General of Criminal Division. No, it's a buy yourself a get out of jail free card. That's all it is. And you know what's fucked up is that company was probably bailed out. So they're not even using their own money. Oh, God. All right, this comes from The Independent. Misaligned black hole.
Oops.
8,000.
Oops.
Who fucked that up? Yeah, okay, stop. Time out.
Just say you don't believe, but...
Let's start there.
Whose fault is this?
How does a black hole get misaligned?
Right. It shouldn't happen ever.
Who did that?
Right.
I think a black hole does whatever the fuck a black hole wants to do. And misaligning is not one of the things it does.
Oops.
Okay, so putting that aside. Misaligned black hole 8,000 light years from the Earth, behaving in a way scientists have never seen before. Get ready, Mr. Smith.
Oh.
Here it comes. A black hole 8,000 light years away from Earth has been behaving strangely, and astronomers are fascinated. Though it was discovered in 1989, the V404 Cygni black hole first garnered global attention in 2015 when it brightened telescopes for 2 weeks as it consumed material from an orbiting star. Yeah. Not all of the matter was consumed, though. Some of it, superheated by the gravitational force of the black hole, was shot far into space in bright jets of plasma. While such outbursts are not out of the norm for black holes, usually they tend to emit from poles and go in the same direction. However, a closer look at these jets revealed that instead they appeared to be firing in a wobble pattern known as a procession.
Procession, yes.
You're about to tell me you know all about this shit, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. On Monday, in the journal Nature, James Miller Jones and his team of researchers from the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research in Australia published their observations on the 2015 event and offered an explanation for the V404 Cygni's odd behavior. The black hole is misaligned. Quote, we were gobsmacked by what we saw in the system. It was completely unexpected.
You see this shoddy work over here? I can't believe it.
I mean, get the spackle out. The black hole itself is surrounded by a 6 million mile wide disk of spinning matter known as
accretion disk.
That's right. Generally, it is expected that the disk spins on the same axis as the black hole itself, but the strange pattern of the jets show that it's not the case here. That misalignment was likely caused by the force of the supernova that created the black hole in the first place, and combined with a phenomenon known as frame dragging, it creates the spinning type like wobbling effect.
Einsteinian frame dragging.
Do you buy it?
Yeah, sure.
Well, then why is it so freaking mysterious?
They've never seen that before.
So was this one of them things that was only theorized about, or or they're going, hey, there's something we never thought, so we're just going to make some shit up and explain.
No, it's what it's like. What it is like to get the information to see that the jets were wobbling, to have that look as if it was like a garden hose where there was a connection to that wobble. There would have to be frame dragging. So to make that happen. That would have that. It's just another thing now that proves that relativity is more spot on than not, because it's something that was predicted by relativity, and now for the first time we're seeing something in nature that allows you to say, yes, that's exactly what it would look like if frame dragging were occurring in this situation, and it happens because space and time are supposed to be inexplicably connected together, where you can't separate them.
Right.
So one affects the other.
First posited by Albert Einstein as part of his general theory of relativity.
Yes.
Frame dragging happens when the intense gravitational force of the black hole pulls space-time around it as it spins. Did you read this before I?
No, but that's just how this shit works, man.
Quote, finding this astronomical first has deepened our understanding of how black holes and galaxy formation can work. It tells us a little more about the big question. How did we get here? I don't know. I just think it's neat.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty neat. It is pretty neat. It's always cool when something happens that you see that tells you that the theory that you're using most of the time to describe everything that you see is the right theory.
Well, it's that third-party validation type thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is the difference between the shit your tinfoil hat wearing fucking cousin puts on the internet and what scientists put on the internet.
Right, yeah, because they're putting it on because they've seen it somewhere massively happening epically in nature, and the other guy is just concerned about what he thinks might be happening that potentially is or not. And
then it's validated through the processes of people repeating the experiments and then creating completely experiments that should come out with the same result, but get at that result from a completely different way. Is another way of doing it. That's that third piece to the validation, right?
And there's a lot of different theories about what black holes are. Like the prevailing theory is that relativistic theory that includes things like frame dragging, and so when you see it, that's just another thing you can say, hey, but there are other theories and stuff like them. The black hole wars, Susskind won those between.
That's the Playboy subscription.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
yeah.
So I was talking to Sherfu about this. What was that story again? How did that go down?
Kip Thorne, and I think it was Leonard Susskind, and who's the guy in the wheelchair? Hawking, yeah, that dude. Those guys, they had.
I am surprised you forgot me, Eric Smith.
They had their own ideas of what a black hole was, and in particular, what was going on at the event horizon. The issue at stake was that, in the classical view of things, information from the universe was being lost, and that violated a central tenet of physics that information or energy can't be lost. It can only be transformed to matter and back, right? So when it came to a black hole, the main theory showed that once stuff went past the event horizon, it would never return. So that really looked like you were losing information from your universe that you were never going to get back. So they said, that can't be the way it works. There's got to be some other way that this shit works, right? And so Stephen Hawking had the idea that everything would come back through those poles that they were talking about, that eventually the event horizon of a black hole would essentially evaporate and all information would be restored in the subatomic level through the poles because of angular momentum. And so he called it Hawking radiation.
Right.
And that was like the new theory for a while. And then Susskind came up with this idea, and I guess in whatever mathematical way people supplicate to other people, they decided that this was probably the most likely idea of what was happening, right? Susskind was saying that everything gets, all that information and all that energy gets stored at the qubit level in a two-dimensional surface around the black hole. It doesn't go past an event horizon like in classical physics or Einsteinian physics. It actually gets stuck on the surface, and it gets stuck because there's that connection between space and time. If that much space is being warped, then that much time is being warped. And when both of these are taken to the extreme, when it comes to space being warped, everything becomes two-dimensional. And he was able to mathematically show that anything three-dimensional could be represented mathematically as two dimensions. And that in terms of time, everything was just getting stuck. It wasn't going away or out of the universe. It was just becoming stuck somewhere in the universe. And as long as that effect occurred, if that effect somehow stopped, that information would be free again on the subatomic level.
All that information would just bust loose
essentially,
all at once. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of what he was saying. And this is called the Black Hole Wars, and there's like a book you can read that he wrote about it and things like that.
Who won that?
Susskind.
Susskind won.
Yeah.
Okay.
He won that bet. Then the bet was a year subscription to Playboy magazine. But they you
got to put some skin in the game, literally, I suppose.
Well, have you heard of the new theory on time? There's kind of a more new idea about time.
Unless I covered it in a podcast, probably not.
There's a new theory called, I don't know how new it is. It's new to me. Called block universe theory. I've been hearing a lot about it lately. But a part of it, as I understand it, and I'm a little new to it, is that they have the idea now that time is, that you're spread out in time like you're spread out in the universe. That everything that happens to you, or every moment in time, is actually occurring right now somewhere in time. But that the present is more like a spotlight that you're shining over a mosaic, and at any given time that spotlight is on some part of that mosaic, and that's the current, that's the flow of time, right?
But that it all exists.
But that it all actually, yeah. And the reason why they say that it's this way is because of what we just talked about with frame dragging, is that time and space are the same thing. Like, you can't separate them. If you warp space, you're warping time, and it's because they are both fabric together. But when you talk about time, you talk about it as if it flows, like that you can go forward or backwards in time, or go to some, that speed it up or slow it down, right? But in actuality, that's not how they're saying that it works, because it's connected with space, and it's a fabric situation, that you're actually spread out in time, that you exist everywhere, but the presence is just wherever your conscience is in that time, and in that linear conscience sense, which makes me think all kinds of weird things. Like, that would also probably imply that you could somehow, under altered states, communicate with other parts of yourself at different points in time.
Oh my God.
You know, like you could send your conscience to another spot in you.
That's certainly some mortar for the bricks of collective consciousness kind of idea too, then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
That there is no individual consciousness, really. It's just individual instances of one collective consciousness, which is like some of the Orko-R theory supports that as well, right?
Well, there are some interesting aspects of things. I mean, when you consider that, like when you're talking about a black hole, and you're talking about how Susskind views it, the whole idea of a holographic universe principle, that people were thinking that we lived in some kind of a hologram or simulation, I think was an extension of the math that he did to show that all information could be represented two-dimensionally.
That's what Elon Musk believes.
Really?
Yeah, that we all live in a simulation. It's that there's more and more convincing evidence every day, kind of thing, that we actually just live in a simulation.
And I believe that all started with Susskind's calculations about the information being stored on the surface of event horizon. I think that whole idea of the holographic universe got its foundation in that math. So, at any rate, it's when you talk about being spread out in time, it makes you wonder about how a black hole would work. You know, if it's connected to time, if it's warping and stopping time, how would that work in a sense when all time is just a matter of place in that dimension? Anyway.
You know what I think? I think I need some of the magic mushrooms to get there,
Yeah,
man.
I do. Definitely something. Having trouble seeing it in my head.
I don't know if I'm going to get there otherwise, bro. I just don't know if I'm going to get there.
But fascinating things to think about
Yeah, it
with
really
all the
is.
stuff they come up with.
And the ability to just kind of have access to this information now for anybody. This is,
Yeah.
you know, at one point in time, you had to be in a college physics classroom to kind of postulate and hear this stuff. Now it's, or read National Geographic and go, I don't understand the big words. That was me. Not just for the African. Anyway, Facebook, this is from MIT Technology Review. Facebook wants to know which of your friends you have a secret crush on, Eric.
Oh, Facebook wants to. I seen something about that.
In a
on
move
Facebook.
to destroy even more marriages in the world. Oh, wait, that's not what the article says.
I'm sure it should, though.
It's part of a big expansion of the platform's dating feature, which is now available in 14 additional countries, on top of the original 5, none of which are the U.S. yet. The Secret Crush feature will let Facebook dating users pick up to 9 friends they'd like to date, and they'll get a notification if the feeling is mutual. It works only if you're on Facebook dating, so no, you can't go around creeping on friends' profiles and secretly expressing desire for them. Facebook hopes to use its clout to take on the crowded dating app market, which includes competitors like Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder. Facebook dating will be coming to the U.S. by the end of next year. See, Tinder and Tumblr, I always get mixed up. That's right. Tinder is like the swipe thing, whatever.
So, yeah.
And Tumblr is apparently where you go to see social media titties.
Okay.
The Facebook dating app will be coming to the U.S. by the end of the year. Did I say that already? I think I did. It was just one of several announcements at Facebook's annual F8 conference yesterday. Mark Zuckerberg unveiled the biggest redesign since 2011 and fleshed out plans to integrate with WhatsApp, Messenger, and Instagram into a single end-to-end encrypted. Oh, now they care about privacy all of a sudden. Product. Well, we got all the information we need on everyone.
Right.
Though he said that that's years away from launch, he also announced plans to start shipping new wireless VR headsets and to launch Facebook's Smart Screen Portal product internationally.
Well, I don't need that.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet. We haven't seen it, but probably not. There was a glaring omission at the event. Not one of the announcements really addressed the main concerns with Facebook, which center around user data and targeted advertising. So it said, oh, yeah, all of a sudden now you care about privacy, you fucking douche.
Now we got Facebook dating apps.
Yeah, Facebook is Amazon, Facebook, Google, they're eventually just going to run all of our lives.
Yeah, they want to be there from the very first connections. We met over Facebook.
Well, I can't say much. I met my wife online.
Well, still. I bet it wasn't Facebook, though.
It was not Facebook, no. I'm not even going to say what it was. I'm glad I did. She's like my buddy.
Well, sure.
You know, we still get along great. So there was some merit to that, like how it lined you up by acceptable mutual proclivities kind of thing, like whether you smoke or don't. There's like certain things that certain people just shouldn't date. It's like, just don't.
Hey, is that the Coliseum?
It is. Here's something I thought you'd really find fascinating. This is from Ars Technica again. Study says ancient Romans may have built, quote, invisibility cloaks into structures. You want to hear about this?
I do.
Foundational patterns in Roman theaters resemble electromagnetic cloaking devices.
Because we have plenty of those around today, and we've picked one up, as ubiquitous as they are, and we've seen them and they're exactly alike. I guess.
I'm sensing some skepticism here, Mr. Smith.
Well, I've just never seen a cloaking device ever. They're acting like it's a phone or something. Oh, yeah, look, they had phones. It's just like your phone in your pocket.
Yeah, this is true, right? Scientists are hard at work developing real-world invisibility cloaks, to Eric's point.
Even the author couldn't take it, Yeah.
Thanks to a special class of exotic man-made metamaterials, now a team of French scientists has suggested in a recent preprint of the physics ARXIV, or ARXIV, that certain...
preprint? I was stuck on preprint.
That certain Roman structures, like the famous Roman Colosseum, have very similar structural patterns which may have protected them from damage from earthquakes over the millennia. What? That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that was a switch, wasn't it?
It's like, whoa, that's a bait and switch.
Visibility cloak to structural integrity and for earthquakes.
Well, let's see if they recover here.
Okay.
Falling within the broader class of photonic band gap materials, a metamaterial is technically defined as any material whose microscopic structure can bend light in ways it doesn't normally bend. That property is called an index of refraction, i.e., the ratio between the speed of light in a vacuum and how fast the top of the light wave travels. Natural materials have a positive index of refraction. Certain man-made materials, first synthesized in the lab in 2000, have a negative index of refraction, meaning they can interact with light in such a way as to bend light around even sharp angles. I thought we just called that a prism. That makes metamaterials so ideal for cloaking applications. Yep. Any invisibility cloak must be able to bend electromagnetic waves around whatever is supposed to be cloaking. It's supposed to be cloaking. They are also ideal for making so-called super lenses capable of seeing objects at much smaller scales than is possible with natural materials because they have significantly lower diffraction limits. Most metamaterials consist of a highly conductive metal, like gold or copper, organized into specific shapes and arranged in carefully layered periodic lattice structures. When light passes through the material, it bends around the cloaked object, rendering it invisible. You can see anything directly behind it, but never perceive the object itself. Yeah, I get how that works. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. This is kind of a weird bait and switch here.
Yeah, it's...
So basically they're just saying, okay, here's the... Quote, I doubt that the Romans intentionally designed their buildings to be earthquake resistant.
That's the main giant quote that I can see in giant letters from my position.
This is one of them, shame on you, Ars Technica, because this is bullshit. It's one of the things where it just happened to be sort of a metamaterial, which is like, ooh, that could have been a cloak. No. No.
This is how the ancient alien things get started, guys.
They use the word may, have built may, very, very broadly here. That is a giant paintbrush. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. They may have...
Boo, poor form.
May have been Jell-O, too.
It may have been Jell-O, too. No, I don't want
to... It's also earthquake resistant. It's therefore a metamaterial. It could be a cloaking device.
It could be a cloaking device. Yeah, it could be your Uncle Charlie. I mean, there's minerals in there, right?
Yeah.
Uncle Charlie had minerals in him.
Yeah, he's probably got some kind of quartz. He could be refracting light somewhere inside of him.
You just never know.
I don't.
These things happen, Eric. That's important to remember that.
Those Romans.
Did you know that you may have been charging your smartphone all wrong?
Well, that's good because I'm having problems charging my phone because I think I bent the inside port a little bit or something.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. So there's another way. That'd be good.
This is from Business Insider. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you might be reducing your phone's battery's lifespan with certain charging behaviors. Specifically, if you often charge your phone overnight or keep it plugged in for hours after it's reached 100%, you're accelerating the aging process of lithium-ion smartphone batteries. Quote, if you're going to charge your phone to 100% and keep it at 100%, just keep charging and charging overnight. This will have negative influence on aging. Dominic Schulte, the managing director of the German battery technology consultancy firm Batteringer, some German word, told Business Insider.
Of course it would be the Germans that would want me to wake up when it hits 100 and unplug it and then wake up because it's going to drain a little bit. I'm not going to be able to get up again with it being at 100.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to get up again and plug it back in to make sure it hits 100 again. And by the time I'm actually getting up...
That's cycling. You don't want to do that. You always want to... let's find out. Indeed, as the lithium-ion battery ages, the chemistry within changes and becomes less efficient at storing and delivering power to your device. To be sure, all lithium-ion batteries age and have a limited lifespan. No matter what you do, your phone's battery capacity, which translates to its lifespan, will degrade as you use it, but you can have a say in how quickly your smartphone battery ages. Meanwhile, the companies behind the smartphones in your hands and pockets don't seem overly concerned about you letting your phone charge for too long. Well, yeah, because that's a weird sort of built-in obsolescence. I've asked smartphone companies what they think about charging phones overnight and keeping them at 100% for hours on end. Most referred me to informational web pages on their respective smartphone batteries. In short, just fucking look it up.
Yeah. If you really want to know, go check it out.
In short, the company that made your smartphone doesn't seem to think that charging your phone overnight is cause for much concern. Apple does mention overnight charging on one of its informational pages, but doesn't say it's not a good idea to do so. Ronald Ho, a product manager at Google, told Business Insider that, in general, this mentality that overcharging is bad or charging too often is bad is pretty outdated given the current battery and charging optimizing technologies companies can build into their devices. Ho said that when the phone's battery reaches 100%, the phone's internal battery charger will actually stop charging to prevent overcharging. Phone batteries will get a top-off from the charger only when they reach a certain level. Under 100%. So there you go.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that, Eric.
Nope.
The phone is automated to do that for you.
Fantastic.
But Schulte and most smartphone makers agree on one thing. When you store a smartphone you don't plan to use, you should keep the battery charge within a certain range. And that's a hint that smartphone batteries don't like being at 100%. He said that the lithium-ion batteries age slowest at about 30 to 50%, and that's about the range where most smartphone makers suggest you keep your phone's battery charge when you plan on storing it away for a while. On its battery webpage, Samsung says you should keep its battery charge at least 50%. Apple says to keep the iPhone half charged when it's stored for the long term to help extend battery lifespan. At the end of the day, lithium-ion batteries don't like being at 100%, at least for long periods of time. That's simply unrealistic for a device that most of us keep by our side all day anyways, especially when we often need it to last a long time between charges. The key is to not store or keep your phone's battery at 100% charge for extended periods of time. Indeed, Schulte said that it would be very good to charge the phone in the morning or whenever, but don't store the phone overnight at 100%. Okay, so if your phone's at 100%, don't put it on the charger at night, is what they're saying. Just turn it off and let it sit. You'll wake up with 98% or whatever, but that's better than leaving it on the charger. I think it's what they're getting at.
This is back to that power issue that you were discussing that before.
Which one?
Just the lack of power.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing because when I saw this someplace, everybody thinks, well, my phone doesn't take up much electricity. No, but your share of the server and memory space and everything else that connects to that phone, the server farm and all that is like every iPhone is the equivalent to like a refrigerator's worth of electricity is what it actually consumes for you to have that iPhone. Because you're not just paying, you're paying for everything the iPhone's connected to that it needs to work, as well as this device. This is just one piece of a bigger chunk.
Yeah.
And it's all cloud sourced and group shared and those kind of things. So yeah, the average iPhone gobbles up about a refrigerator's worth of electricity when you weigh it all out, kind of thing, right? So yeah, maybe we are, but yeah, this is almost pointless because most people don't use their phones that way anyway. I mean, the big takeaway from here, they could have put in the first paragraph that said, hey, if your phone's pretty much charged, don't plug it in at night. It'll make your battery last longer. Like we could have got there without all of this. Oh, I don't know. We got all this great education
on battery life and
how lithium-ion batteries and shit work, right?
Yeah.
So my day is complete with that, man. I mean, I really feel enlightened. So any of these stories jump out at you? Which one did you like the most?
I like the black hole story.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I guess nobody really knows why it's wobbling, right?
Yeah.
So presumably at the
if it's misaligned, somebody knows.
Well, somebody didn't do their job right. But at the center of black holes are singularities.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the accretion disk around the outside of it, which is designated by the angular momentum and stuff, and everything is being like shredded into gamma rays. They said it was still stable, but that the poles where the jets shoot out from were wobbling,
that's that frame dragging is what you're talking about. It actually is stable. It's just being warped by something else. Yeah.
Yeah, inside. Yeah, but what would be causing that though? I wonder.
Something with a tremendous amount of mass.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on, there's so many ideas on how all that works, but I mean, maybe it swallowed some other really dense object.
It's funny how people will use these sort of we don't understand everything as fuel for saying, well, if we don't understand everything, then we must not understand anything. So everything is. And I agree at a certain level that everything is questionable, right? Everything is questionable. Absolutely. Okay. However, not everything, there are a lot of things though that have been tested and tested and tested. And like, for instance, you can believe that gravity doesn't exist, but if you jump off of a bridge, you're going to hit the ground, right? And I don't need to, I believe in those laws of physics, unfortunately, because we don't understand black hole phenomena or maybe we don't understand entirely how we understand its effects.
Yeah.
And those are highly repeatable.
Yeah, we see it happening all over in the universe. We
Right.
definitely know that these things exist and we see them. We just don't know exactly what they're doing. We just see that they are there.
Yeah, just because some science is not entirely understood doesn't mean that all science is not entirely understood either.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, these are thousands of light years away and stuff. I mean, it's really, really far away. So it's going to be a lot harder to understand, I would think. I don't know.
Well, there wouldn't be. There's going to be effects and phenomena that we're going to discover probably forever as we get a deeper understanding of how the universe actually works. And how the cosmos sort of holds its. I did see something the other day, however, that there's now with the new Hubble photographs and things that they can now almost absolutely confirm in expansion theory that the universe is expanding and accelerating, and that really posits some real interesting challenges now about where that energy is coming from, that something moving through space could also be picking up speed without something else. What is that other force that's influencing it? And now they can sort of they can say almost with 100% certainty that it's happening, but they still don't necessarily know why that it's happening. That was a subject we did on a podcast a couple days ago.
Dark energy expanding the universe faster and faster.
Well, and we call it dark energy. Why? Because we don't have any other fucking word for it right now.
Know what it is.
They don't know what it is.
Right.
So that's where dark comes from. Not that it's like antimatter or something like that specifically.
Which is weird because dark matter is actually called dark because it doesn't exchange baryonic particles. It doesn't make any kind of energy signatures out. So it kind of calls it dark for a different reason. Right. Because you can't see it. That's why it's dark. But dark energy is because we don't know what the hell it
is. Woo. All right, man. That was we were coming up here on an hour. We did pretty good. About 8 articles and some good stuff. Anything else you want to talk about?
Gosh.
Oh, Danny boy.
Well, let's see now. Anything interesting been happening in the world? Not that I've been paying attention to.
Dude, blissfully ignorant is a wonderful place to be.
It is, yeah. The last I heard, there was a reporter over, I think on your TV, in fact, a reporter was talking about the Kentucky Derby giving the winnings to the second horse.
Yeah.
When the first horse was named Maximum Security. And she starts off her report, there's been maximum controversy. And I just start laughing because I know what the horse's name was. I'm like, that's just funny.
I had some friends, I don't follow it at all, horse racing per se, but obviously I have friends on Facebook that do and social media. And, there were people that thought they were getting a big old fat paycheck, and then the decision was overturned. So people who thought they had won ended up not winning. So it's kind of a bit of a nut punch there. Because he said something about, he's a big shout out to Ben Dobmeyer. I'll call him out. He's a good friend and he posts a lot of stuff on Facebook, and he's very animated when it comes to sports teams. and this kind of stuff. It's very much a big part, it seems like, of his life, college sports especially. And he's not a big fan of, let's just say, the way that a lot of these organizations have been run and are being run. And in this particular case, man, he went on this diatribe about, I'm paraphrasing, something about professional horse racing going the way down the toilet of all the other fucking sports, and I was like, so I wasn't really, I didn't know what had happened. So I'm like, so something bugging you, bud, kind of thing. So he went in because it looked like he had stakes involved and then had won and then turned around and had, nope, sorry, you got fucked. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that would kind of suck, man.
Jeez. Yeah, and they were saying something like the horse got in the other one's way or something. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, it was like a foul, it was like a foul kind of thing that happened during the race. So there was like a time penalty, which means that the horse that did win didn't actually win, and another horse won. So
they said they'd never done that before, though. That was one thing, that it was unprecedented. And an unprecedented move, they gave it to the second one that came in or something. So I guess that doesn't happen very often.
It will forever be a tarnish on the good history of Kentucky horse racing now. I don't know. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I really know nothing about horse racing.
It's the most recent news I'd seen. Oh, and geez, I don't.
I had a guy I used to work with that was a sales engineer that was really big into it. Like, he loved picking the ponies, kind of thing. And he used to try to explain it to me, how the different ways you could bet. Dude, I don't gamble. I don't even get. The closest I come to gambling is a pickup, game of poker in the basement for $20 buy-ins for fun every now and then. I have no desire. Do you I have no desire to go to a casino.
I've never gambled. I've never even bought a lottery ticket.
I've done that, like scratch ticket. But I'll buy a lottery ticket when like Mega Millions gets to like $100 million or something. And it's more just for shits and giggles because the lottery is a tax on people that are bad at math, is what it is, right? Because they don't understand things like odds. you follow me?
But you know me, man. I was like person was like, man, I'll never win. I mean, always.
Oh,
yeah. I would never buy one.
You never bother trying.
Never.
Yeah, but you're not that way now.
No, not now, but I used to be. And I just, it's something I just haven't ever done in my life, so I never think about doing it.
Especially with lottery tickets, you're not missing anything. Like, your odds are so ridiculous,
Those people always irritate me, too.
The people that buy...
Yeah.
They have to have...
Yeah, they're just always in there, like, sitting at the counter, like, scratching their tickets off and, like they're going to buy another one just as soon as they scratch that off, so you're waiting on them in line and you got your stuff,
they have to scratch them off real quick because in case they won, they want their money right now. But you're standing there like, I just want fucking milk, bitch. Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing convenient about this anymore. Me waiting on your addiction here, your gambling addiction. Yeah.
That's usually where I encounter those people. So,
well, I was out in Fallon, Nevada. we went into the casino because they would come with a bus and pick us up off the base and take us to the Nugget. And I watched this dude walk it. Now, I could go into the casino because I wasn't 21 yet, but I think I couldn't gamble. But I could be in the casino at 18, and you couldn't drink, obviously. And this dude that I was in the squadron with walked in, took 50-cent piece. First time he ever played a slot machine in his life, put it in the slot machine, yanked the handle, and hit. Just, and it's like, what the fuck, man? How does that even happen? But in retrospect, it dawned on me that I think that's how gambling addictions start.
Maybe so.
That
a lucky hit.
Yeah, because then you think, like it makes a connection in your brain that, this is easy.
Yeah.
And then, once the kids are homeless and the mortgage, and wait a minute, maybe not. That's when it happens.
I just had a pretty good friend tell me that he had made something like, I think he said $90,000 at a casino up here somewhere.
Well, the state of Ohio has casinos. They're fucking like horrible. I hate them. They're terrible.
He said he'd won like $90,000 or something like that.
Yeah, you can go in and gamble. They're like legit casinos. They're just not like, how do I say this? Like, I like going to Vegas the times I've been there, but I don't gamble. But there's a lot of other cool shit in Las Vegas other than the casino. The casinos are cool, but there's like really neat stuff around the casinos and in the buildings and things with the casinos too. But when you go to the ones in Ohio, they're owned by the state. So if you can imagine people from the DMV running a casino, like, you know what I mean? That's kind of they don't really give a shit about you as a customer in any way. It's just they're state employees, and they sort of it sort of comes off that way. And they have like rock concerts and different stuff in it, but it's not the same environment as when you go to like Atlantic City or Las Vegas. It's a whole different experience. Or if you go like in New England, because I lived up there for a long time, when you go into Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods, they value your business, but not like they do when there's competition in places like Las Vegas, where if they're shitty to you, you just walk next door and there's another casino willing to take your money, right? Or another hotel or another venue.
You were talking about the odds being so bad for the person playing. I wonder what would be the difference between the odds of normal needing to win and you're buying or gambling or whatever, and just by chance finding a winning lottery ticket lying on the ground.
Well, they're probably not too. First of all, the chances of that being a winning lottery ticket is
the big one you got to beat, right?
But then the chance of you finding it
just unclaimed
I think it would be significantly higher.
You think it would be? Because I think the big hurdle would be
a
being winning.
Multiplier of the other. First, you would have to. What's the chances of having a winning lottery ticket? It's like 1 in getting hit by lightning 3 times or whatever the fuck it is, right? But then the off chance. So first it has to exist,
right?
And then you have to multiply it by the chance of you actually being the person that finds it.
Are you sure it's a multiplier? Can it just be the?
Well, you didn't set any criteria. So there's 330 million people in the country, right? So you've got a 1 in 330 million chance of being the one person that finds that one winning lottery ticket. So if you're just saying, like, I don't know, in the state of Kentucky or in the state of Massachusetts,
I don't know. I'm just keeping my eyes open.
It doesn't matter, though. It's effectively, it's pretty much the same. You're not going to do it.
No,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Like, you can tell people that. I can say to someone with almost 100% assurity and be right, you're never going to win Powerball.
Yeah.
Like, I could just walk up to any stranger on the road at any time and make this oracle prediction that you're never going to win Powerball.
And since I never play, if I am going to win Powerball, I'm going to have to find the lottery
You're
ticket.
definitely not going to win.
Unless I find one.
But my chances are even better with you, is my point. But that's how bad the odds are of winning, like, Powerball lottery, is that I could walk around probably for the rest of my life saying that to every person I meet, and I would die and still be right.
When I think about chances like that, this is so far from the other end of that astronomical chances, right? But
okay.
I was sitting at home one night. I was really upset with the person I was married to at the time. They were out with somebody else, and I'd had enough. Right? I left the house. I was going to walk down to some of the local bars and see if I could find her, right? So I get in the car and I drive down to a nearby bar. I get out. I rarely go to bars, right? I go into this bar. I walk around the whole building. About halfway around, I look down. There's a $20 bill lying on the floor. I pick it up, put it in my pocket, walk right back out, get into my car, drive back toward my house, wondering, did I just get in my car all angry, walk into a bar at random, find $20, stick it in my pocket, walk out, and drive home? I did.
You didn't, but that wasn't the plan.
No, not at all. And I didn't even go to any other bar. Like, somehow I was like, okay, I'm just going to go get something to eat.
Yeah, I'm not really pissed anymore.
Yeah, you know what? A sandwich will be fine.
Jesus Christ, dude. $20 is all it takes for you to be over.
Well, it was
I think I may have found an underlying problem here, Bubba.
Yeah, well, things still went downhill after that, but
hey,
nevertheless.
But you had $20.
But I had $20, and all I had to do was go get it. I didn't even know I had to just go get it, but that's all I had to do.
Oh, so they say, 90% of success is being there?
Yeah, well,
just showing up.
What are the chances that I would be upset enough to be driven out of my house because I was upset? What was the chances that I would be in a failed relationship at that point in time, and that I had felt that she was out with this person running around the neighborhood or something, you know? Like, there's a lot of circumstances and chance that pushed me into my car and brought me to that nearby bar. I can, you know, all the reasons I might have been in that bar, those would have been the most obscure reasons for me to tell someone, yeah, in 2 months I'm going to be in this bar for this reason.
Yeah, but the chances are what they are.
They apparently, right? So
they just are.
Maybe I can just find a Powerball ticket someday. They just are what they are.
20 million.
20 million.
Yeah,
right.
right. 200 million, whatever.
Right. That's not that much more of a strain on the universe, is it?
Cosmically speaking, it's no strain at all.
There we go.
I mean, to be honest, right?
Right.
It's infinitely abundant, right?
That's been my plan for a long time now. And you know what? I've saved a lot more money than the people whose plans involve winning by buying tickets.
That's kind of where I'm at the point where my retirement plan includes lottery tickets at this point. I think is kind of where I'm at because of things like divorce and different stuff that you know whatever plans on, but yeah, there's no retirement. This is my retirement. Hopefully this is my retirement. It's talking to people.
Yeah, even the universe wants to solve problems with $20. Here you go, kid. Here's $20.
Well, life sucks, but here's a 20.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Go ahead. If there's not a reason why everybody should embrace capitalism right now, that's the reason why.
$20.
$20.
Let's fix all the world's problems with $20.
Your heart will be fine. Take $20. You don't need that person. Here's $20.
I don't know that that's a good strategy that any society should employ.
Probably not. No.
Fun coupons for everybody.
I suppose if I would have found them at the bar, things would have been drastically different than just getting $20 and leaving.
That would have ended significantly different. You wouldn't have ended with a full stomach. You would have ended up in the
probably it's like on the floor or in a jail or something.
Jail or something, right? With a big knot on the back of your head from some bartender's club. You know, whack! Stop your shit.
Yeah, no, just someone that, like I admitted to in the beginning, never really been in the bar, don't go out to bars, just wanders in someday and starts a conflict with somebody.
It's another thing, man. I mean, I don't know about the whole hanging out in bars thing. That's something that is. I mean, I did it. I think it's a phase you go through, but the people that end up staying, like you're supposed to go hang out in bars between like 21 here in the States, right? Between like the ages of 21 years and 30s, and then you're supposed to kind of go meet your friends every once in a while at the bar for a while, and then ultimately you're not supposed to fucking hang out there anymore. Because when you look at that demographic of people, there's far less of the ones over the age of like 50 that hang out in bars. Mm-hmm. And those people missed a piece somewhere, right? Because you're not supposed to still be there at that age doing that. And when you are, it's obvious that why they're there, you know. It's like, oh, this ain't going well, right? There was you missed something.
And you know, there are people who that's what they want to do with their time. There are those people who, once they're done with their job, what they would rather be doing is sitting in that local bar, talking with those same local people, talking with new local people, talking with the bartenders. I mean, it's like...
Well, there's a difference between a bar and a pub, too. I think there is. You know, it's not just people sitting around getting obliterated before they have to go back and face their lives. That's a bar. A pub, you know, people saying hang out and they talk, and they don't hang out there all day or all night. They come in and out, and there's different groups come in at different times, and they sort of cycle through. It's like a social thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's more like a pub environment. Generally, they have some sort of food and different stuff. But you know what I'm talking about, man. Those watering holes where it's just the same people sitting in the same bar stools every single day. And they're incoherent. And I get this because I worked in so many doing, you know, working on vending machines and different stuff.
Those are those people that I was talking about. Those people that don't want to go home and don't have any other life, and all they want to do is sit in that bar with those same people. I mean,
Yeah, when I was running service, man, I've gone into bars before they even open, and the regular's already sitting there.
Yeah.
And then I go back in to run service in the same bar at 9:30 at night, and I go in, the dude's in the same fucking spot, sitting there, still sitting in the exact same spot.
But do you think it's because things aren't going well for them, or do you think it's because they just don't have? That's just where they want to be. That's where they want to be. They have no other ambitions.
It is being judgmental to say that things aren't going, because you sort, again, if you don't own yourself, what do you own? So if you decide you want to spend your life sitting at the end of a bar pickling your liver, I guess that's a choice every person has a right to make. Most of the people that I've seen, that seems to be what's going on with those people.
Is that right? Yeah, it's what they've done for years, and they're just going to keep doing it, and they'll do it, and sometimes they'll do it in different places and stuff. It doesn't have to, like, they're not even in there talking with people usually. Like, they're not meeting up with their friends, and they're not talking, they're not really socializing. Like you said, they're just down there keeping that maintenance, essentially. Well, the other part of it is I've never seen buying alcohol as anything other than a waste of money. It's not, and I'm lucky that way, I guess, even coming from an alcoholic parent. Well, especially at a bar, everything's going to cost more.
Yeah. I've just never understood why spending money on alcohol made any sense. You just end up feeling like shit the next day. That's like I've never been so drunk that I was like, man, that was worth it. Like, it's never happened.
Well, no.
I always wake up the next day going, fuck, I'm not doing that ever again.
No, I mean, there's a sweet spot, I think, where people become more sociable. But, if they drink too much, then it's bad for their health and it's bad for them. But I do think that it makes people more sociable. I think some people come out to bars to be social and want the alcohol to help be social.
A lubricant kind of thing.
Or catalyst or something, a way to approach people without feeling weird about it. You know? But, there's just all different types. I think most people are falling into like in that age group that you said, between 20s and 30s, and most of them are there using alcohol as a catalyst for socializing and having a good time. But there's definitely diehard people who, they've been there for a very long time through different people working behind the bar or owners or whatever, and they're never going to be moving from this place. They're going to be dying in this place. Like, they live nearby more than likely, and they're just part of the scenery. And they're not there to socialize. They could spend 4 days there and not talk to anybody and be just as happy.
Right. The only conversation they want to have is
another beer,
and another wild turkey. Yeah.
They'll just
bang the shot glass or the beer glass.
Yeah, a lot of times, they're just maintaining the stuff. Yeah. They're not really there for any other reason.
Wow.
And then presumably they would, if they, a lot of those people have significant others at their house, and their significant other doesn't want them lounging around all day drinking, so they go to
the bar to do it, so they don't catch any grief.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they consider it a good buy, even though they may spend more money than if they brought the alcohol home. I've had at least 4 or 5 people tell me that.
I'm sitting over here trying to apply logic and reason to things like addiction and things like that. Dummy.
It's easier to go in here and do it. You don't hear anyone yelling at you about nothing, So you drink what you want and you leave when you're ready.
Just kind of is what it is, isn't it?
You don't know the number of people that is envied me living above a bar. There's people that I talk to down there that's there for those reasons. Think it's just the shit that I'm a bachelor living above a bar.
It's just not the grand lifestyle, though.
It's not to me, but they think that I'm the shit, man. They think that's just awesome. I still, to this day, when I go down there, everybody's really nice.
Sure.
And everybody...
Well, I'm not making that. I'm not saying they're bad people.
Oh, no. And I'm
just saying that, like, you would think that they would have... There's like a...
Well, those people are different from the people I'm saying are really nice. Those people don't really socialize, but the majority of the people, those 20 through 30-year-old people who are there to socialize, and then some of the diehard customers who just don't have anything to do when they come home. They're usually bachelors, or whatever, and they're going to sit there and watch TV, or they're going to go down and have a few drinks and not be at home thinking about how lonely they are, right?
Right.
So there's those guys, and they're not the drunk people that's always there day in and day out, right? But all of those people that are in between those people, those guys, are really nice. Usually everybody's got an interesting story or they do something interesting.
Yeah.
And they're happier when somebody will come down and talk with them and socialize with them. I've had a lot of the younger crowd down there just tell me that I was cool for just talking with them. They said most people my age won't talk with them if they're in their 20s and stuff, or they can't reach or whatever. And I've had people of that age group buy me drinks and stuff. I've had older people because I identify with.
There is a bit of a benefit then, you think, to the sort of bar scene, in the sense of how it allows people to communicate across like cultural strata, being age or whatever socioeconomic standing, that it does serve a purpose there for that.
Oh, certainly. And a lot of them are connected by family relations too. Like a lot of bars that are more like pubs than bars. A lot of people have known each other for their whole lives. Yeah. You know, or their sisters or brothers of their parents who came into these same places and socialized on these same grounds and stuff. And you know, they play cards, they play pool, they watch sports games, they have beer, they talk, and occasionally life spills out. You know, somebody's girlfriend and them get into it, or somebody drinks too much or whatever, and it happens more frequently, obviously, at a bar or whatever in that area. But for the most part, everybody's like super nice, and they're just there to have a good time, and it's great if they can have better conversations. Like a lot of people will buy me drinks just for talking about stuff with them that they feel that they can't talk about with other people. Sure. I have a really good friend down there who has helped me out several times in the past. He's a regular guy. He's a Jehovah's Witness, and he knows I'm an anti-theist. But
whoa, he's not practicing Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
They don't drink.
Well, he drinks.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think they drink. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. He drinks.
I could be wrong. I don't know a lot other than they bug me when they come to my door, when my door specifically says no soliciting. I'm going to put one on there, and it says, even for your fucking God.
Yes.
Okay? Like, I don't want to talk to any
Witnesses,
of you.
Mormons.
Yeah. No, I don't want to join your cult. I don't give a shit what you call your cult. Stop knocking on my door. You know? Trust me. I know where you're at. I'll come to you.
But, you know, we get along, and he's taken me out to lunch, and he's loaned me money. He's helped me in many ways, and basically the only thing he's ever asked from me is conversation. And, you know, he has a lot of interest in the Bible, and so do I. So there's a lot of stuff that me and him can talk about that he can't just start talking about with other people.
Right. Even if he has questions or wants to explore things deeper, that may come off as a different way with somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. So he knows that we can just talk about that stuff, and he's a good guy, you know. I'm a better person for knowing him for certain.
Oh, well, definitely a more enriched person. Yeah. Given if he's helped you out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost always better, man, to be nice.
And a lot of the bartenders and stuff have. Yeah, I mean, if you're nice to people and you're honest with them, and they see that you're trying to do right in your life, they'll help you if they can.
That's most people, though, man.
Yeah.
That's most people, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not... nobody wants to be ripped off. Okay, but everybody, almost without exception, will help somebody if that person is trying.
Yeah, and it's like
I shouldn't say it that way. People are far more likely to help you if you're trying to do something.
Yeah,
if you're trying to, because otherwise you're not asking for help. You're asking for someone to do it for you, and that's a whole different thing, you know.
And I don't want to give bars bad reputations because of a few people who are maintaining liver conditions. You know, like
that's one way to put it.
Yeah, there's other people. Most of the other people are really friendly and good people, and you know, and they're good people.
Well, you know, man, a lot of it for me is being put off by. I have like a psychological reaction to people that are inebriated. And a lot of it comes from being, again, you know, from having an alcoholic parent.
Yeah.
So there's a part of that. Even when I was in the Navy, when I was drinking my heaviest, I didn't drink like a lot of the guys I was in the Navy. You know, I was a light drinker compared to most of my compatriots in the military. But there's something about when someone's really drunk and I could smell the alcohol, like they're off gassing alcohol through their breath because they have so much of it in their system, that like it tweaks something in my brain where it goes, oh, this douchebag. Like that's my immediate snap to point. And I've met people that are just wonderful, loving, amazing drunks. You know, they're not. There's not a mean bone in their body.
Still weigh on you though.
But man, it's the slurred. It's like I don't like that. I would rather my brain's running at least at full speed,
forgetting shit that they told you all the time, having to have the same conversations
over and over and over again. I ever tell you about man? Like the last 6 times I've seen you like this. Yeah, I've lost friendships over it to the point where it's like I've had to say to the person, it was like, look, I would not tolerate this shit in my personal life with my own father. I'm not going to tolerate it from you. You know,
Right.
like you have no special connection to me when I wouldn't even, take this from my own family member kind of thing. So I've seen it's gotten bad to that point, but I have a lot of friends that are also functional alcoholics for all intents and purposes. They're not hurting anybody, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But I still don't like being around it.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like parties where hey man, come over, everybody's gonna be drinking.
Yeah.
Or I'll show up until the alcohol really gets flowing and people start getting drunk, and then I get uncomfortable and I got to split. It's kind of a thing.
That's like when I was starting to go out and hang out with some of the fellows we used to hang out with in the past, you and me, out there at the farm. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yep.
Like, I'd go out there, man, they want, I'd say, hey, you guys want a game and stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, and I go out there, and they've already got their 5-gallon puke buckets, and sitting around like in anticipation of the chundering to come,
I mean, what is that?
Chunder buckets.
I'm preparing for vomiting.
For vomiting.
No, man, you shouldn't.
For my physiological body's rejection to what's happening and what I
It's like your body going, that ain't fucking right. Don't do that. That's
right.
That's an emergency relief valve, but not a goal.
Right. Clearly, this bucket shows you don't understand what's going on here.
Jesus Christ!
But they did, man. They'd have 3 or 4 of them, and they'd have all the alcohol, and it's like I can't be running the game and
There's
watching
no game.
it. No,
that's not a game.
No, you're just going to deteriorate every time.
Yeah, that's all it's going to happen,
Yep.
right? You can't do math and stay focused on the important details when
might as well just be
up in a
depressed
chum
and
bucket.
listen to a Cure album over and over. Might as well just do it that way.
Well, shit, man. On that note, hour and 25 minutes, brother. We banged it out here. So that's the show, folks. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
We appreciate all the likes and subscribes and the shares. We've been getting more of those, and I really appreciate those. So thanks for doing that for us, folks, helping us promote the show. It's still growing like crazy. I don't know if there's an end in sight. I hope there isn't. And we just get to keep doing this forever. But check us out, www.noshitcast.com, KNOWSHITCAST.com, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye. Take it aside.